Hey guys, back with some more Bazaar, and today we are going to be having a look at all of the new items so far that have been revealed from the new season announcements. So the expansion is called From the Shadows, I believe. We have a quest item, which I think is really interesting on Vanessa. So we have Cauterizing Blade, medium weapon tech item. So it feels kind of similar. From what we can see, it feels like a combination of, like an item like Shark Ray, and then also a lot of Vanessa's current haste and slow stuff already. So we have items like Mantis Shrimp, we have Mr. Richardson. We've got a lot of items that rely on haste and slow. But in this one, we get to kind of make a choice between slow and haste, like which one we want to do. Can't do both, only one or the other. So I guess if you're doing a slow build, you do slow. If you're doing a haste build, you do haste. Now for me, when I compare this to something like Arbalest, I know it has a much higher cooldown. I get that. But the damage is honestly quite abysmal compared to it. So I don't know how a 5-second item, especially when you look at something like Dive Weights, which is, typically like an 8-second item, how the timing is going to work. It is interesting nonetheless, but I'm just concerned a little bit about the actual timing of it. Still an interesting item. I really do love the theme of this pack. I love the design of the item as well. It is really interesting. Okay, move on to the next one. We have Dart Launcher. So, deal 5 damage. If this is adjacent to a slow item, we slow. If this is adjacent to a poison item, we poison. Has 4 ammo on it. Small weapon tech item. 4-second cooldown. I think this is really cool. It's a relatively quick, 4-second small item. It's not terrible. But what it's more about is just the amount of different procs we're doing. We're doing slow and poison and damage, which feels like a lot. A weapon tech item, I don't know whether tech necessarily, I haven't looked at all the cards yet. I don't know whether tech necessarily has a massive influence in this new pack. There are still some items that haven't been revealed. But the fact that it's an ammo item, it's small, it's quick, it poisons, it slows, there's just a lot of, it seems like a very versatile card. It could probably fit on a lot of boards, because it does slow, it does poison, so there's just a lot of different things you can do with it, I think. Now we have Integrated HUD, a passive item, so when the item to the right has crit chance, so the item to the right of this has +10 crit chance, when we crit with the item to the right, we slow an item. Sounds pretty straightforward, right? Like it's just it seems like we get the crit chance, I get that, but it seems like quite a high requirement to crit for slow when we have things like toxins, neutralizing toxins, I think, which is just when you use an adjacent weapon you slow, which, this is, you're critting with an item, I guess, so it is a little bit more dynamic. You can use it with a lot of different things. It is passive, small apparel tech. It's interesting. I think it's tricky. I don't really know how you pull it off yet. It does have a, has a low cost, I guess. It is a small item. I am interested to see how this works though. So, next we have Kusarigama. Traditional Japanese weapon. I talked about this one in my video. So, small weapon tech. So we deal 5 damage every 6 seconds and we slow an item for a second. Now, when we slow a crit, this and adjacent weapons gain damage for the fight. I think that's cool. Yeah, gives some adjacent weapons some scaling. And it's a weapon. I think this is an interesting item. It seems, like, I don't know how it's going to be in level ups, whether the scaling increases, but I assume it would. That feels like a lot of payoff. It's basically just like, trained in a small item. It seems like it's really, really good, because you just get 3 weapons that just, when you slow or crit, it gives adjacent weapons +5 damage for the fight, and that's per slow instance. So I think that sounds to me strong. No predictions yet, but I think that could be really good. So next we have Oni Mask. This is in the trailer, so it's a medium apparel tech item. Now, I don't really get the tech aspects of these yet. We haven't really seen anything to do with the techie part. It's just mostly been slow stuff, a lot of slow stuff, which is, we've been seeing a lot of slow stuff this season, so I'm not particularly excited about seeing more stuff to scale off of slow, because it already feels like there's a lot of it. So, medium apparel tech, 8-second, high cooldown. Now we burn, and when we crit, your burn items gain burn, which I think is a cool thing. You know, medium item, seems like a decent payoff of when we crit, all of our burn items gain burn for the fight, which I think is a cool little bit of scaling, is scaling burn off of crits. And when we slow, we charge this 2 seconds. So, you know, it kind of is a different version of a anglerfish, deep water anglerfish, I think it's called. Because we obviously slow and charge on that one, but we just don't have the crit burn scaling. I think this is an interesting item. I think it seems cool. Obviously, another big difference is that it's not aquatic. It's an apparel and tech item. So, you know, with your deep water anglerfish, dark water anglerfish, whatever it's called, you have a lot of aquatic items on board. It can, you know, have a little bit of synergy with some of those other items, but with this, this seems reliant on just slow and crit. Doesn't seem necessarily tied into, it's not tied into the aquatic stuff at all, is what I'm trying to say. So, now we have the bladed hoverboard. So, adjacent items have their cooldowns reduced by 10% when we use an adjacent item, deal 20 damage. This feels for me like it would be great with our, what is the sickle thing called again? With this, the Kusarigama, like, it basically, whenever we slow a crit, this and adjacent weapons gain 5 damage for the fight. It does have a high cooldown of 6%, but then I guess we get to scale it. So, kind of funky. Now, weapon tech aquatic vehicle, it is aquatic as well. So this would make sense in some aquatic builds, I'm sure. I like the idea of just having adjacent items with their cooldowns reduced. I'm sure that gets buffed at higher levels. I don't know whether it goes to 2030 or like 1520 or however much it would work. There are a lot of passive items so far in this expansion, which I think is okay. And the items seem relatively slow so far, so I'm not too mad about that. Now we have the Shuriken. Thank you, Mr. Fruit, for some of these reveals. So, small weapon, 8 seconds. This says multicast equal to its current ammo. When we use this, spend all of its ammo. So, this, to me, feels kind of cool in, like, a burst build. Like, we combine this with something like a pistol sword or something that, you know, does damage or charges based off of ammo usage. This, for me, is a significant upgrade in these Vanessa ammo, like, builds or burst ammo adjacent stuff. Just because, you know, as soon as we get, look, it has a high cooldown. It is at 8 seconds, but when we get to that cooldown, we are like, if we have a cannonball next to this thing and it has like 8 ammo, 8 casts like instantly is kind of insane. It's basically like a dive weights, but is it as good as a dive weights though? Because it does do damage, which is obviously a benefit, and we can scale the damage, but it just runs out of ammo instantly and then doesn't do anything afterwards. I guess if you have some kind of reload on it, it could work, but this does seem interesting with like those ammo Vanessa sort of builds. Now we have Stealth Glide. I think you're going to Mr. Fruit. You can see in there in the top left, handsome guy. Large Vehicle Tech, it's a passive item, Stealth Glider. Your items have plus 20% crit chance, sure. You take no damage for the first 3 seconds of each fight. The first time you use an item each fight, lose all damage reduction. This is cool to me. I think this is a great step in the direction of slowing the game down a little bit, because so many things rely on, you know, we've got holsters, we've got Clamora, we've got the quicker start, and a lot of like really advanced players know, and that's kind of the gap between an intermediate and an advanced player, is that the whole point in the late game, in the mid game, getting an early start over your opponent, just getting to go a few seconds earlier, makes the biggest difference in the world. That's the state of the Bazaar right now, is that just going as fast as possible just means that you win most of the time. This to me seems interesting. We get to slow the game down. No matter what they do, nothing happens to us, right? For the first 3 seconds of the fight. I think taking no damage doesn't mean that they can't stack burn or poison on us. It just means that they won't affect us. So they could stack that burn, and then after the 3 second gets used up, we have 100 burn on us, and then it instantly ticks us down. But it does help us get to the point of maybe being able to use our items. Got no clue about the upgrades on this thing yet, whether it's more seconds here or it's just more crit, whatever. This to me, honestly, so far seems like the most interesting card of the Vanessa expansion. I'm really excited for this one. And then finally we have Wetware. So when we use a weapon item, this gains 20 shield for the fight. If we have another tech item, reduce this item's cooldown by 2 seconds. Sure. It's just as another tech item, so that's at least one, I assume. It's not just one. It's not, like crude tools where we're reducing the cooldown on one tech item. We can have as many as we want. So medium, aquatic, apparel, tech, 8-second cooldown goes to 6. I assume the shield scaling is just going to go up, and this to me just provides a little bit of defense. It doesn't seem like anything too crazy from what I'm seeing so far. Like, it's a 6-second medium item that shields with a tech tag. It is aquatic, but I feel like there are just maybe better options. Obviously, this is kind of like the weapon version of a barrel, it feels like, because barrel is when you use an adjacent non-weapon item, whereas this is just when you use a weapon item. So we can get some really fast weapons going and get a lot of shield, but to me, it doesn't feel misplaced, because I think you have to have a little bit of defense and everything, but it does seem, I don't know, not as interesting as the rest maybe, because it's just a 6-second shield scaler. I feel like we've seen it before. It's interesting seeing the tech stuff with Vanessa, but so far this seems like one of the only synergies that we're seeing. Like, there aren't many. Yeah, so I've just gone through the items, and this is literally the only item in the pack so far that actually has something to do with tech. Like, it's the only thing that has a line that says if you have tech, or if tech does this, or if tech does that. So I don't know. It feels like the tech flavor is just for aesthetics only so far. Obviously it does make it more synergistic with, characters like Dooley. If you get one of these items, you'd be pretty happy if you're running some kind of like tech build. But yeah, I think all of the Vanessa items have been really interesting. I like the way that they look. So now we are going to move on to the new pig expansion, the Piggle themed expansion, the Pigglestorm pack, or something along those lines. Pigglestorm being like this, I guess, this Piggles gaming group in the Bazaar lore-wise now. We can see Crip in the corner here. I'll put some credits in the description below for all the creators who release this content, but we have Displays Case. Medium tool, at the start of each fight, adjacent items gain +2 value, and when we use an item with value over 10, we shield for 20. Yeah, that seems okay to me. It is what seems to be like a shield enchant on a 28-hour gym. And it seems to be, it'll be really good with something like Pen FT. It'll be really good with something like Bad Blocker, because we'll just be able to build a ton of shield, get a ton of scaling, and then obviously we'll see later down the line it makes a lot of sense with the Pickles, because we do a bit of value scaling basically with Pickles. This one seems really interesting to me, and the theme of the pack is interesting as well. I am really excited for this one. Next we have Money Furnace, which is also in the trailer, but we do have Crip's face in this one as well. Medium property tool, we burn equal to the times value. Seems a little bit like Kiosk so far, but at the start of each fight we spend 5 gold to increase this item's value by 3. And if this is your only property, it has double value in combat. So it's got a built-in balcony is kind of what it's saying, but it doesn't have the same ability to scale as Kiosk. Like, you can get more things for that, like in terms of property. You're going to be buying and selling more property, I think. It's also a 10-second item, so it's like 2 seconds slower. But I think this is really interesting. I like the idea that it's got built-in double, but that does kind of concern me, because we can still scale this with something like a rewards card, with truffles, with our other typical value scaling items. And then we also see a couple of other things in this expansion where we are going to be scaling the value on items during a fight. So we will see. I do think this looks to be, relatively strong right now though. So next we have Piggle's board. This has the text on it because Snooey released his in the form of a short, and it had text in the middle. Kind of hard to get a screenshot of it without the text, but Piggle's board. When we use a toy, charge another toy. When we're looking at Piggles and what they do this, in the next upcoming thing, obviously regular Piggles are a 4-second cooldown. We put a lot of those on. That's a lot of charge. I don't think it necessarily gets all the way to being absolutely crazy, but I'm assuming at Diamond this would be when you use another toy, charge another toy, 2 seconds. So we'll see. It does seem quite good in certain situations, and obviously Yo-Yo is a toy, right? So if we get an infinite Yo-Yo going with something like this, which a lot of people do infinite Yo-Yos, it's not necessarily a hard thing to pull off, That could be really, really, really strong. Next we have Piggle's Launcher. So this one, medium tool weapon, damage, shield, heal, and burn. And when we use the toy, we charge it. This seems particularly good with one other card in this pack. I won't mention it yet, but we just have so many instances of stuff here that just through some natural scaling, I feel like this is going to be really good. It's a ton of defense, it's damage, and it's burn. Obviously, it's a 7-second cooldown item, but we get charge. So there's going to be, I feel like if we get some natural scaling on this item, this is going to be really good. Obviously, these are separate from each other, so it's not shield equal to the item's damage, or heal equal to the item's damage, or burn as a tenth of the item's damage. These aren't fixed numbers, right? If we just scale the damage, the shield isn't going to increase or anything. It is kind of, just feels like a flexible item where we can just scale one or the other, but we can also scale all of them. Piggle's Protectors. So, shield for 4. This has double shield, and when we use an adjacent toy, this gains shield. Seems pretty standard. Small toy. 6 seconds. It's a reasonably high cooldown compared to, the Piggles, regular Piggles. It's some shield scaling. It has double shield. So obviously when it says it gains +2 shield for the fight, it really is going to be 4. I think this is not particularly just interesting. I think it seems like a decent card. Whenever they have double in the name, typically it's good. Doesn't seem super interesting to me though. I think it's okay. So this is what I was talking about with the synergies, is we see here with Pigglestorm, which I guess is the name of like the gaming thing. Pigglestorm Gaming has, it's a large property, 6-second cooldown. Your weapons gain +5 damage for the fight, your shield items gain +5 shield for the fight, your heal items gain +5 heal for the fight, and your burn items gain +1 burn for the fight. So we saw, if I go back, Piggle's Launcher, we have all of those procs. So this seems like a pretty basic synergy. We also have, when we use a toy or friend, we charge as 2 seconds. So we've got the toy synergy there with both items. We've got similar sorts of damage, shield, and heal scaling as well. And then we'll see with the premium Piggles, which will be coming up, they have these as well. So this seems like something that'll be great for scaling your Piggles and getting them to go a little bit faster. Obviously, it's 6-second cooldown. I don't think that's that big of a deal, but 3 charges on this to scale it for this amount. Obviously, I think the scaling will increase per level. It could get really funky. I can't lie to you, because you start getting some of your Piggles with a high damage, and we'll start seeing this, that they have cooldown reduction per heal, damage, burn. So, we see here with the first one, so Premium Green Piggles, it's a small toy. So this item's cooldown is reduced by 1% for every 5 heal it has, similar to the Yetlatl sort of thing, right? Where it has, cooldown reduction for each bit of damage it has. This is the same deal. So Premium Green Piggles is just a small heal version. So we're starting to see with some of these Piggles is that they actually have an effect of heal, damage, shield, rather than just scaling your other items. Then we have Orange Piggles, which is just a burn version. So this item's cooldown is reduced by 1% for every 4 burn it has, which for me, 1% for every 5 heal feels a lot easier than every 4 burn. I know that there's burn scaling, but like that seems like a much higher, bigger task to do than the heal. Then we have Premium Piggles. So this is the premium version of the regular Piggles stuff. Small toy, adjacent small items have the cooldowns reduced by 1 second and +5 value during combat. When you win a fight, get a Premium Piggle. At the start of each day, upgrade a random Premium Piggle. Now, I don't know what the upgraded versions of these will do. Whether it's just more flat burn, or whether it's like more cooldown reduction. I assume it's just going to be more of the flat heal as base and flat burn as base, because that's what a Yetlatl does. I think, increasing the percentage per instance of what, burn or heal seems like it'd be pretty strong, so I don't think they'll do that. This seems really fun to me. I like the idea of Piggles. I just love the theme of this pack. It seems a little strong, but I just love the theme. So now we have the damage version, Premium Red Piggles. It's the same deal, small toy weapon. 8 seconds, deal 10 damage in this item's cooldown is reduced by 1% for every 5 damage it has. Then we have Yellow Piggles, so we shield. This item's cooldown is reduced by 1% for every 5 shield it has. Same deal. So, sponsored apparel. I don't know what the shield thing is at the top. I don't know what that means, whether it's just because it's a shield item or whatever. So, medium apparel. At the start of each fight, if this is in place, spend 8 gold to increase the value of all your items by +1. when you use a toy, shield equal to 1 times that toy's value. This seems good. It's just a ton of shield. It is a medium item. It obviously doesn't have a cooldown. I'm interested to see what this like actually does. But I think that this could be really good if we get enough scaling, because obviously we do want value on some of these items. Not all of them, but some. So, streaming setup, your toys have double value. During combat, adjacent toys have plus crit chance equal to 1 times their value. Medium tool tech, again, passive item. This seems like okay. It doesn't seem absolutely stunning. Like it, some of the toys, sure. Like, it's not a toy, but this relies on value, but none of the Piggles rely on value. Like a lot of this stuff doesn't actually rely on value. So I'm curious, like, your toys have double value during combat, but what does that actually mean for the toys, Okay, so the crit chance is obviously decent, and that's what the scaling is for, but I don't really get the value bit of it, I guess. And now this is probably what I think is the best item in the patch. Your toys have +1 multicast, and at the start of each day you get a random toy. So it's like a shipwreck or a like robotics factory, but at silver. And it's econ. That seems ridiculous. This seems ridiculously strong. I don't know how this will pan out, but giving all your toys multicast, we're thinking yo-yos are infinite at silver with this. Like, this is, this is crazy. I think this is probably going to be the strongest item in the patch. If I could make a bold prediction, I think this is going to be the strongest item. It's like effectively for Pig. Because, he has his quick items, he has his big properties, sure. It's not for all of them. But giving all of his toys, which are already quite quick multicast, that's insane to me. That seems really, really strong. And then, we can get duplicates of toys as well with the econ thing. So it's not necessarily going to be too difficult to get, multiple yo-yos and stuff like that. I think this is extremely strong. But hey, that is all of the items so far. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.